So the finale to our meal is going to be a lemon rosemary cake. I know that Emma absolutely loves anything lemon, so you noticed I tried to pepper our meal with lemon. And this cake is the perfect ending to a luncheon because it's very light. One of the reasons it's light is because the cake starts out with cake flour versus regular all-purpose flour. So I have my cake flour in a bowl and I'm just going to add my baking powder to it. Give it a quick stir to incorporate it for when I'm ready to add my dry ingredients to my wet ingredients. Set that aside. Now I've got my eggs and I have sugar. I'm going to give this a quick whisk. Now, one of the reasons I like cake flour for this cake is because it has less gluten than all-purpose flour. So the gluten factor in any flour is going to determine the texture of the crumb of the cake. So the less gluten, the lighter, the more tender the crumb. And that's why it's perfect for this cake. Now, got lemon zest, just a pinch of salt, good quality vanilla, perfect, and vegetable oil. Again, just a quick little whisk to incorporate it. This cake is so simple you don't even need to take out your mixer. And now I'm going to incorporate my flour and my baking powder gently so that I'm not wearing the flour. But again, you can see just how light that flour is. And then the twist on this cake to make it even lighter is I'm not going to use butter. I'm going to use non-fat Greek yogurt. It gives this cake a tremendous amount of moisture and it lightens it up. You know, you also find that people will use sour cream in cakes. Well, that's great. I use sour cream in a lot of cakes, but when you really want to lighten it up calorie-wise, you can use yogurt. It's creamy. Perfect. And then my fresh rosemary. A lot of people don't think to bake with herbs. And you know, with citrus, there's nothing better than citrus and herb together. You could change this cake, instead of making it lemon, you could use orange zest. Orange would work really well with this. You could change the herb out from rosemary and make it basil. You know, change it up, make it your own, feel free. See how easy that was to do? All our ingredients are in the bowl. We're done. All that's left is to put it into a loaf pan that's been greased. It's all prepared. And then this cake is going to bake at 325 degrees. Now, for those of you that have been following my shows before, you know that 325 degrees is the temperature my grandmother always told me was the key to a very, very moist, delicious, tender cake. So I never rush it. It takes a little bit longer, but the results are always perfection. 325 degrees for about 50 minutes. Now, I have one that I made ahead of time. So when the cake comes out, you want to let it rest in the pan for about 10 minutes. And then you want to invert it onto a rack, and under the rack place a baking sheet, because the next layer that we're going to infuse this with is a lemon simple syrup. And simple syrup is just equal parts of lemon juice and sugar that you cook in a saucepan on the stove until the sugar dissolves and it becomes clear. So while the cake is still warm, remember, you took it out of the pan 10 minutes after it came out of the oven. You just want to drizzle the simple syrup over the top of the cake. And it's going to seep down into the cake. When you cut into it, it's going to be so moist. And you're going to let that sit until your cake has totally cooled. To this point, Again, you can make this cake a day in advance, wrap it up, put it in an airtight container, store it in the refrigerator. When you're ready to serve, here's our finished product. Here's our beautiful cake. And I just like to garnish with what the ingredients that you're using, so guests know. So besides the rosemary that's infused throughout the cake, I've garnished it with a sprig of rosemary, a simple strawberry, and now you don't need a frosting on this cake. Just a beautiful little sprinkle of powdered sugar. It's the perfect ending to this meal on a beautiful sunny afternoon.